Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the 2024 Kawasaki MULE PRO-FXR 1000. Now, last week we talked about the four-door version of this, which is the six-passenger. This one is a shorter wheelbase, more nimble, two-door, three-passenger. This one does not have that load-leveling rear suspension that unit has, but I'm going to show you a whole bunch of things on this unit that the other videos aren't showing you, and that I didn't show you on the four-door model. Now, with the shorter wheelbase and that new, more powerful engine and great suspension, upgraded suspension, you have something here that is more trail capable than ever before. And if you know anything about the Kawasaki lineup, the Mules are work capable. It's also more work capable than ever before. So this is the ultimate do-it-all unit. And as vehicles get a little bit more expensive, or off-road vehicles get a little bit more expensive, finding something that hits the sweet spot of being really fun on the trails and trail capable and really useful for summertime and wintertime activities that are work related, this fits that mark perfectly. So I'm filming here at Jim Gilbert's Power Sports right in front of Kawasaki Way. Kawasaki Way is the off-road test track here at the #1 volume Kawasaki dealer in the country. In addition to just being a great place to buy this, if you have any questions about this unit that I don't get to in this video, make sure you let me know in the comments below, because I have complete access to the entire Kawasaki lineup here. And if you have questions, I can come back to your questions both on video and in the comments section, and we'll try to create a video database of information about these. I know these are pretty new and there's not a ton of information out there right now, so let me know what you want to know and I'll continue to make more and more videos on it. All right, let's get going with this review. So I like to refer to this kind of as a sleeper in that side-by-side market, because of course it looks like a working unit, but here with that short wheelbase model, you can see nice and short wheelbase, you really have a nimble unit with enough space and comfort. So we're going to talk about space and comfort in a second. Let's just start talking about the bed back here and some of the practicality you get for a working unit. So first of all, front and rear tires. The rear tires are wider. That gives you a little bit more grip on the trail, but also gives you a little more capacity to carry weight back here. Now, when we looked at the four-passenger unit, it had the extendable bed. It could extend out and extend back, and a lot of that bed was kind of behind the wheelbase when you had the four-passenger up, and it was, of course, was a longer wheelbase. And that meant that it had about 348 pounds of weight carrying capacity when you had the smaller bed. But then you could extend it to the larger bed, make it essentially a three-passenger like this with a little bit larger bed. It had 1,000-pound capacity in that bed. This also has 1,000-pound capacity all the time. So again, because it's got a little bit more weight in front of that rear axle, 1,000-pound capacity. Now, this is also a dump bed. I've flipped the latch on the other side already. You can flip the latch here, and it has a gas assist truss that brings it up, so not too heavy. I find this to be lighter than the four-door one. I think that's just the way it's sort of set up there. So you have that assist strut there. There is a spot on the other side which kind of works like a hood prop to hold it up. So if you were putting stuff or dealing with it and pushing it down kind of thing, you can prop it up. We're going to take a look in here a little closer now, because one of the big benefits of this 1000cc engine is not just more power, more fun, it's also easier to maintain if you're doing any maintenance yourself. So we're going to bring the camera around the other side and take a look at that here. But yeah, let's just do that right now. So take a look under the bed. You can see here how this is easy to maintain. Now, what I'm going to do is actually swing to a wide angle camera here so you can kind of see how open this is. It does kind of skew the view a little bit. You can sort of see with my hands, maybe it skews a little bit, but not too much actually the way we're looking at things. But you've got a lot of space to work in here. So first of all, you can see that their oil filter is right up on top there. Everything is super easy maintenance. Fill the engine, everything from the top. So everything is open, accessible, quite easy to get to. Even your taillights back here, if you ever had an issue with them, they're open and easily accessible. You can see they're all sealed up to deal with all the stuff that you're going to deal with. They've got that tough protector underneath there, so you've got good protection. You can see as they're looking at the suspension back here as well, they're a more traditional look. If you look at the four-passenger 1000cc FXR Pro, or Pro-FXR, excuse me, you're going to see a little different style basically strut in there. And again, that's the load leveling suspension. So on the two-door, you don't get the load leveling suspension, but you still have this sort of sport riding, you know, nimble machine like that. But you can see everything here is accessible. Now, one thing that's a little hard to show, just beyond that bar and in there, is the same sort of space from this bar here to over here. That is open. To me, I think the aftermarket's going to come up with an accessory to have a little storage bin in there. It's kind of just sitting there open to have storage bins. We're going to talk about a few of the hidden storage bins in this unit as we move our way through. All right, while I have the bed flipped up like this, I'm gonna show you some of the features of it. First of all, diamond plate steel. So you've got a really tough bed down there. And of course you can get bed mats, you can do other things. If you really wanted it, you could like rhino line it if you really wanted that, but you don't really need to. You also have these rails up here. These are great for tie downs. You got the rail up here. You can tie things down. You can mount accessories across this. So there's all kinds of options. These little rails I think are sometimes a little over or a little underrated. I'm gonna flop down the tailgate here for a second here. You gotta get this side and this side. And as we do that, again, if this was level, you would see it better, but all of these little indents, if you're working on something with screws or nuts or bolts or something like that, all of these little areas here are gonna keep those on the tailgate, of course, when it's level, and you've got the cup holder there. Bringing this thing down is nice and easy as well. You've got that gas strut, so you have to give it a little bit of force to bring it closed, but it is pretty well counterbalanced, and you can see it's a fairly tall bed, but it's easily accessible everywhere, and it's pretty good size for, you know, what it is. Again, this is designed to be a shorter unit to make it a little bit more compact on the trails, but you've got good size in there. So practical bed, little practical details, nothing too crazy in the segment, but it is a very good practical bed. So we've already clarified this is a working unit here. You can see that this is a regular 2-inch receiver, and you can tow up to 2,000 pounds of that, which could tow my small camping trailer, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. You can move anything around your yard that you would need to move around with that. But in addition to being a working unit, you can start to see some of the sport component of this. Everything is centralized, fairly high up to give you ground clearance, and strong, like overbuilt everything. So you've got the A-arm, double A-arm suspension, centralized weight. All of that's gonna make this actually handle really well. So let's talk about the sport handling of this. So when you talk about something that's fun to ride, a lot of time in the Kawasaki lineup, you think of the Teryx. And the Teryx, of course, has those bucket seats, and they look a little bit more sporty than this. And let's be fair, it is. It has a little bit different style suspension where you can spin knobs and twist things to adjust them on the fly, on the trail, to get different preload settings, to get different compression settings, that kind of thing. This one doesn't have that adjustable suspension, which, let's be fair, it still does have preload suspension. But again, let's be fair, how many of us are really going out there and tweaking the suspension? So if you're not going to be playing with your suspension, this one actually has a few kind of tricks to it. First of all, this is the 1000cc engine, basically pulled from the KRX 1000. It's a nice step up engine, but on that motor, it's quite loud, it's rambunctious, it's that kind of thing. Here it's tuned more for a working type tune. However, it's plenty of power for this type of unit and really livens it up, makes it fun to drive, makes it kind of sporty. And that's what's kind of fun about these. Now we're going to talk about seating position in here in a second. It doesn't hold you in the same way that the Teryx does with the bucket seats, but there are some sneaky little things that add some comfort. And of course you've got that power along with some raised suspension, some good sized wheels and tires, the alloy wheels which look cool as well. And you have something that looks sporty out on the trail, but also behaves sporty on the trail. And it's gonna surprise some people. With that 1000cc engine, I think you're gonna find that this is not the mule that people think it is. Let's take a look at the front and talk about some of the features out there. So taking a look at the front here, the angle I'm filming at actually visually decreases the ground clearance. You actually have 12.2 to 13.2 inches of ground clearance now, depending on your preload settings. You also have 11 inches of travel in the front of front suspension travel and 10.1 inches in the back. And then of course that's up and down, right? So that gives you good ability to have these dip into holes and rise out, and that's going to keep you in contact with the ground on trails. So suspension travel is really important on trails and maybe a little bit less important in working, but they have that travel here for you with good suspension. You've also got some basic, like everything here is stock, so you've got some basic clearance areas here. So this is going to give you a little bit of an approach angle advantage with that tough steel area. You can put a winch in there, you can put tools on there, but you can also add things like A-arm protectors and all kinds of things that really make this trail capable. So when you start bashing into rocks and other stuff on the trail, it can all be protected. And the accessories are really all about what you can do here. Of course, you can put a, like I said, the winch on the front, you can put a plow on the front. And if we're going to talk about a plow, let's talk about the headlights here. So let's just turn them on for a second here. Let's see if we got them probably off still. Right, okay. So first button I'm gonna hit here turns on your regular headlights. Now, hopefully you can see here, let me just take a look at the camera there. Yeah, you can really see this one is a more golden color. This one's a more white color. This one's LED, this one's not. Now, a lot of time you think, why wouldn't they just do LED on both of them? Well, again, keep in mind, this is a working unit. You can feel the heat coming off this halogen light where you don't feel the heat coming off of that LED light. Now you can go up to a high beam here, so we'll do that right there. And you can see this one has the high beam there. Again, the big benefit is here, The white light is closer to daylight in color. That allows your eyes to see the difference between a raccoon and a rock on the trail, because your brain can identify things when it sees them in the color it's used to seeing them in. The amber light, or the regular headlight, halogen light, is a little bit more yellowy in tone. Now, we've worked with these for many, many years. The big advantage to this over an LED light is when you're doing that work in the snow, when you're driving this in cold weather, snow can build up on your headlights. And this one here, because it doesn't have enough heat, you can have snow build up and you can lose headlight power because you have some heat coming off there. You won't lose your headlight power. And of course, you can accessorize these up with lights. Most accessory lights are LED lights. So this is a nice advantage to have. You can put those bright LED accessory lights on. You're not gonna buy bright halogens anymore, but you still have the halogen lights for in the winter when you want to both be seen and see things for yourself. So really kind of smart to do that mix here. A single switch controlling them both. On the Teryx models, you have double switch doing the inside or the outside. So this one's a single switch controlling them both. But again, a little smart detail that I think is overlooked. While we're up front, because I didn't open this on the 4-door 6-passenger unit, I will open this here just so you see what's going on. There is a little bit of a spring in there that pops it up once you do the latches on either side. We are filming wide angle, so it's a little bit of a skewed view on the outside. But you can see in there, just your rad in there, some basic service. There's not really a storage area down here. But again, the spring, what I pointed out there, just allows you to kind of securely latch it. You don't know for sure if you get it sometimes without that spring. You've got the dual springs there. So when you push this down, you can see that and feel that it's kind of latched in there, and when it's not, so that it isn't something you lose out on the trail. But we want to show you that. There is another secret storage compartment here that I want to show you and talk about that I didn't show you on the 4-door 6-passenger, so let's do that right now. All right, so we're staying with the wide angle here, and you're looking at the front seat. The front seat is a bench seat, and one thing I want to point out is it's hard to show, but there are these bumps in here on the driver and passenger that fit your rear end that allow you to feel comfortable and kind of locked in place here. That goes with the flat bench seat. Again, if you wanted something with the bucket seat, you can move to the Teryx, but this one has the advantage of, you know, being nice and quiet, and I can lift this here. We're going to do the same thing over there. So it's a simple lift up there. Let me just try it here without hitting the camera. There we go. And then this tips forward, and it is on little wires so you don't lose it. You can see those wires there. Now, what we have here is a couple of interesting things. First of all, right here is a little storage container that is basically, oops, hit the camera there, we're still good. Yeah, basically a waterproof container. It is very, very, very deep. It's up to, you know, at least up to kind of there on me. So nice and deep in that, it says 20 pounds compartment there, which is pretty cool. Now, in the past, on some of these models, there has been a bin that can fit in there. As of this 2024 model, as of time of filming, Kawasaki doesn't list a bin in there right now. I'm guessing the new engine, new drivetrain, new powertrain here is probably just a little different size than previous models. Maybe it didn't sell, I don't know. But it looks like the aftermarket or Kawasaki will probably fill that space with an optional bin, which would give you tremendous inside storage that is underneath the seat in a good spot and a kind of a hidden area. So really helpful to have this here again, just, you know, to keep some things like a lunch or basics in there. But again, there is a lot of space in there as well, which I think you could put a pretty deep, pretty big compartment. But again, as of now, it's not listed on Kawasaki's website. And again, like I said, I think that may have something to do with just a little bit different packaging when you have the new motor in here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go inside. We're going to show you the dash area, the seating area in there, talk about the things in there, and then I'm going to give you a walk around of up close just so that you see things on this in case there's something that you see in the video that maybe I didn't bring out. That's sometimes what happens in a showroom is I'm going to walk by and go, wait a minute, what about this, that, and the other thing? So when we finish inside, we'll do that walk around to show you the outside, just to show you if there's anything there you want to see, and then we'll come back and wrap this video up. So let's just jump inside for a second here. We're going to stay normal angle, but we may go wide angle at times just to sort of give you a better view here. So again, trying to see that seat there, you can kind of see there's that little bump right here. It's really hard to show, but there is that bump between your legs there that does make this a pretty comfortable bench seat to sit on. If you wanted a headrest there, you could do it. Most times if you're wearing a helmet here, that gives you plenty of space and you're good, but there are, again, a lot of accessories. The other thing we should talk about accessories, you can close in this cab. You can close it in with hard doors, with soft doors. You can go glass windshield. You can go windshield wiper. You can go poly windshield. windshield. You can go window in the back. It's going to be a little bit less expensive to close in this cab than on the full 4-door version with 6 passengers. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And then the other thing is you can put a heater inside. You can put a stereo inside. So you have all of these options in the Kawasaki accessories to make this everything you want. All right, let's just jump wide angle. I should point out that this is a tilt wheel. It's a little awkward to do with the camera in my hand, so it's got a pretty good force, pneumatic force there. So, but just know that it is adjustable. Over here, you've got a cup holder, a little bit of a storage spot up there, and then the same thing over here, storage spot over there. Because we said we'd show you some of the storage areas in this unit, let's just pop the glove box, which we didn't do on the other video. I'm doing it with my left hand in a weird angle here, but there is a bit of a glove box there. Little bit of a seal in there. I don't know if it's going to be fully waterproof, but it is something that's going to keep things a little out of the way. You do have the dual 12-volt sockets there. Now the other one has a sticker about 120 watts or so, so it's either or. So they're probably on the same circuit. You're gonna have to decide what you want to do with that. You've got typical floor in here. What I do like about the floor here, again, we're looking at the wide angle, is you can sit a passenger in the middle here. So when you sit a passenger in the middle, you need that flatter floor, but there is that bar there to keep their feet from going onto the gas pedal. And you think about that and saying, oh, that's not really a big deal. But if you think about going on a rough terrain, bouncing around kind of thing, you don't want this person to sort of brace themselves on your gas pedal when you're not ready. So a little smart design there, relatively flat floor. It's about an inch or so up off the main floor there. Cup holders down there as well. So again, just smart little design. And again, you can put a stereo in this, you can put other things. Hey, there's a little chipmunk over there. I don't know if you saw that. Anyways, squirrel. Anyway, so what you have here is the gear shift here, low, high, neutral, and reverse. And then you have the parking brake over here. Parking brake, of course, is left side in front of you, because if it was to go in the middle beside you, that wouldn't work. That's where your passenger's supposed to go. Now, let's just zoom in here. Again, filming any screen with a camera is pretty bad for glare, but I will show you as best I can. This is Kawasaki's Simple Dash. Now the KRX 1000 does have a TFT display with a whole bunch of features, and there was a talk that maybe this could come with something like that, and it doesn't. And I think that's honestly market research. I don't think there's enough features in here to justify needing a better display. I think a lot of people just don't need that better display. What I do like about this though is you get the 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive button right there, and then you get the 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive display right there. If I click this in while we're parked, I can hear it go, but it didn't fully engage, basically because we're not in drive, we're not running this thing. And what I like about this display is it will show you what the wheels are actually doing. So if it's actually engaged, you'll see it there, and it doesn't matter what the switch says here. So we'll disengage that there. You've got the locking axle there, you've got the headlights there, and then you've got lots of dummy switches or switches that can be put for for other things. In here, just a fuel gauge. Let's see if we can get it on an angle again with no glare. Again, seeing with my eyes, no problem. Seeing with a single camera lens, it's just harder to see. You've got odometer, trip A, trip B, and an hour meter as well at the end there, and that's it down there, as well as the clock. So all the things you need, nothing you don't, with all the warning lights. Now, electronic power steering is a warning light that's on right now because it's not running. What I will say is that it's speed-sensitive electric power steering, which is a really nice thing to have. So when you're stopped like this, you can steer it when it firms up as you go a little faster, and there's another chipmunk going the same way over there. Lots of chipmunks. All right, so that's pretty cool. Now what I'm gonna do is I am gonna start it up and walk around this just to show you the whole unit here. So starting up now, again, I'm wearing a mic, and the vehicle itself, of course, is not mic'd, but I will say that this is a very quiet engine. Not obtrusive. Even when it revs up, it's not something that becomes very loud. So again, kind of cool thing. I don't really have to raise my voice, obviously walking away from it. It's a little quiet here, but let's just take a look at everything here. So remember, I said there could be a spot where maybe an aftermarket spot, we'll put an accessory down there, because down behind that area there, you do have some space. Here's those wheels here, wheels and tires. They look really good in person. Again, something that doesn't always show up great on video. Going to come around to the front wheels. Again, a little bit more rounded profile to the front wheels, a little more square profile to the rear wheels here. That makes it better for steering. We'll show you some of that tread in there. So pretty cool there. Again, front of this probably needs a winch if you're doing a lot of trail type work, or if you're going to add various things. Again, you can add accessories to cover the light or to protect the lights. You can add the winch, you can add the plow, you can add all kinds of things on the front there. Like I said, windshield options that are there as well. Coming along here to show you that badging there, MULE PRO-FXR 1000. So that's really the only, obvious visual cue to the 1000. You can see your fuel fill is right there. The dump bed, we've still got this one unlatched here, so you can latch that up there. And we'll come along, take a look at the back here. little bumper there, dual lights. So I think you've probably seen everything you need to see. If there's something that you see here that I didn't mention, let's talk about that. But let's wrap this video up by talking about who this is really for, especially with this new engine, some of those differences and how it may change the purpose of this vehicle. So I don't normally leave the engine running when I do the wrap up here, but let's talk about who this is for. Well, of course, the MULE lineup just set up for work. Now with this extra ground clearance, that over a foot to over 13 inches of ground clearance, it's really going to make it more trail capable and more work capable. If you have a a rough yard, you don't have to take the trail everywhere, you can kind of get around things. So that extra ground clearance, I think, gives it a great ride. I think gives it more capability. And then the short wheelbase of this really does put it in that sportier kind of category because you can take those tight turns. It has a nice, quite tight turning circle. We mentioned the electronic power steering is speed sensitive, so you've got that nice, easy to drive feel. And then that 1000cc engine makes it both good for work and makes it more fun to drive. And that's really the thing with this, is that 1000cc, it still remains quiet like the last MULE. It's not an all-out sport machine that, like when you hear a sport motorcycle, you want to hear that thing revving. This thing, you'll hear it, you feel it, it's fine, but it's not something that's going to wake up the neighbors or, wake up the kids in bed if you're driving around your yard near their bedrooms. The biggest thing with this is everybody that hops in it and drives it notices that 1000cc engine. It is more peppy, it is more lively, and it gives you more capability. So this becomes one of those ultimate units that does everything. If you need something like this to plow your driveway, to do the work in your yard or your property, this one can do all that, but it also becomes something that is just as fun to take out on the trail. And that's really the pro and con of this. So again, if you want to check this out, check it out at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. I'm jumping in it right now. We're gonna have some fun, put it in gear. We're gonna take off. Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, #1 volume Kawasaki dealer in the country. You can try it out on Kawasaki Way, or you can stay tuned and I'll take it out in a future video. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time.